Today, it's Edwin's Wednesday evening property rant. Hello again, it's Martin North from Digital Finance and the Listeners World. Latest post covering finance and property news. Well, I was away, but we're back now on Wednesday, and Edwin has joined me for a Wednesday rant. Hi, Edwin. How are you doing?
Well, you went away and I slept in. So there you go. So that's our excuse for missing Monday. The dog ate our notes.
Well, that's right, and it's actually interesting because the last couple of days there's been a whole heap of news relating to property, right? And that more and more announcables, wherever you look, announcables left and right and centre, announcables from the Labour government, announcables from the opposition. More heat than light, I think.
Yeah, look, the thing is, as I put up on X, I posted on X, he said, we once had a dream, Martin. There was such a thing as the great Aussie dream, the greatest Aussie dream, which for many become a nightmare. But now it's just being watered down to mere hope. That's what I put on the post there. Years ago, Aussies had a dream to work for home ownership. Now that dream has merely diluted to hope. Dreams have a path. A revelation of what needed to be done to obtain or achieve something. Hope, on the other hand, is now wishful thinking to one day maybe, which is forgotten. But it will be forgotten once they get once these politicians they give us hope that they get into power. Then all of a sudden, what? I never said that. Well, who said what? What was that all about?
Well, the old saying, hope isn't a strategy, right? And when you actually end up with, holding out a little puff of expectation that doesn't have anything behind it, it's like a zephyr in the wind. It doesn't mean anything at all, apart from the fact that it's more hot air and more noise. And to my mind, that's the problem we've got at the moment. We've got so much hot air. We've got so much waffle going on. So many people trying to get clicks, media coverage, all of that sort of stuff. But when you peel it back, there's nothing there. There is nothing that will fundamentally make it more accessible for people to get into property. Nothing that will actually deal with the stupidity in terms of the housing affordability questions that we have. And of course, the broader economic disaster that Australia is turning into is just playing out because, of course, they don't want to deal with the really critical issues. Keep pumping the migration, keep making it harder and harder to build stuff. And even if the stuff that they want you to build, people don't necessarily want to buy. It's a mess. And it shows me that what's happened, Edwin, is that the politics of it has completely overcome everything else. And that's a problem when, in fact, the housing sector, which is, a huge proportion of the economy, becomes purely a hostage to politics. There's no hope.
Yeah. Decades ago, we were building a nation based on, as I said in that post, based on dreams, on visions, on revelations of where we wanted to be. But we didn't dream that it was going to turn out like this. And then obviously the politicians hijacked that vision, that dream, and it became me, myself, and I. Nobody can deny it's all about them. It's all about feeling good. It's all about looking good. Not even so. It's about looking good to feel good, be accepted. In policies that are going to give them the most, the most votes on the day, but forget about accountability because that doesn't come into the equation. So you look at, as you said, they're just looking at those notions to feel good as they travel through those. That tenure of 3 years or 4 years, whatever the case may be, or depending on if they lose favour with the colleagues and then they get ousted out. I think this is and many that talk about property as well, many that talk about the solutions, the so-called property reporters, so-called property analysts or economists or whatever, they focus on one point rather than focusing and looking at everything. Again, my favorite word, which Kamala Harris took it from me, looking at things holistically. You've got to bring everything into the mix. If you don't bring it into the mix, you're missing an ingredient. The cake isn't going to rise. It's not going to be sorted out properly. So whilst you've got the left and the right and the ones in the center pulling this way, that way, and every which way, I mean, and as I said, the people have just lost dream, the dream. They've lost the vision, and they don't even have hope. You could even go as far as to saying that they don't even. It's a void. That feeling of despair and anxiety, and that's been transcended to the next generation, Martin. This is the scary thing. This is really the scary thing, and this is where the WeChat chatters talk about your last generation. When you talk about the last generation of China, I mean, we're talking about a population cliff in many other nations as well. We're obviously keeping tabs on what happens over in mainland China and how that's going to play out. And that's a generation that's literally lost all sense of dreaming, all sense of hope, all sense of vision, aspiration. I mean, what's to come of the world? I mean, is it any wonder that Elon is introducing robots to keep us company and other types of machinery to keep us entertained and other things on AI that we're going to be conversing with, because we just become so politicians more than anyone, of course, and real estate agents, so sensitive about how they feel and how you got to make them feel to feel good and to have that pride. I mean, it's all superficial stuff. And in the meantime, as you said, the economy is really going down the gurgler. We're walking into uncharted waters. The only thing that we've been saying for a very long time that's sustaining the property market is just the open borders, by way of allowing foreign money to come in, investors to come in droves, and also the immigration policies that are playing out. I mean, outside of that, there's no real logic as to why property prices continue to go up, right?
Well, talking about prices going up, there was this article from King McDonald who said that the median house price will cross the $2 million threshold within the next couple of decades. So they looked at some long-term analysis, and basically they're arguing that there's still upside momentum, which of course is not necessarily that surprising given what we know at the moment. But I think Elon is missing a trick. Surely what you should be doing is you should be getting those robots to build houses. Increase the supply of tradies by using robots. That's the simple answer. Surely. Why hasn't anybody seen that? Isn't that the next obvious opportunity?
Look, you hit the nail on the head, Martin. I mean, he said that a robot in 2030, correct me if I'm wrong, robot, we could be having companion robots by 2030, and that could be worth the estimated value of $29,000. Said, I'll take 5. I'll take 5 because you can have. I'll take a brickie, I'll take a carpenter, a plumber, an electrician, and a roofer, and there you go. And Bob's your uncle. Look, but this is fundamentally, there are things that you and I, we talk about policy, we talk about government policy, we talk about mandates, whichever way you want to spin it. But they've let us down. The governments have let us down, from your local government to state government and federal government, because whilst they're all arguing like chickens in a chicken coop in Parliament, then putting on that show because they're the left and the right wing of the same vulture. What's their arguing about all these other things? In the meantime, nothing's been done, or relatively nothing's been done in comparison to the needs. And then you've got these announcements, you've got these news shoots and publicity shoots. We built 13 townhouses in Riverwood. We built 230 apartments here. We're releasing this over there. But yet, and now they're talking about Victoria. They're talking about the building, 15,000 or something apartments along the different commercial corridors, which now they've got an issue with the NIMBYs there as well. But and they're going to get 15, or they're trying to get 15 buildings off the ground. Good luck. Good luck. Because they don't realise the cost to build, and they don't realise that we're going to talk about later on as well how the cost of construction has skyrocketed, especially over the last 12 months, and no developer builder that's worth their salt can build any cheaper than what you and I've been saying for a very long time, and we've been discussing on the show from our insiders in HIA and all the engineers that we talk to. They're saying, they're talking upwards of 550, 580 per dog box to put together. That's above the cost of the land, and so these are the hurdles, the obstacles that the builders have to are going through, and it's only getting worse. But in the meantime, hey, King Charles III is here, so let's celebrate.
Well, exactly right. Although not everybody was that impressed with him visiting, but we won't go there. But talking about the issue with regard to construction, there was this article that came up, labour shortages puts another new homes for 30,000 on ice, and basically talking about the tough development conditions. Tripling of builder insolvencies means that around 30,000 city-sizers won't see homes being built. And they actually show a bit of a list there. The rise in the approved but not yet commenced homes as at the 30th of June. Massive increase in Perth, massive increase in Sydney, less so in some of the other places. And interestingly, they're talking about significant shortage of appropriately sized and skilled builders in Queensland and Western Australia as well. So we know that there's this real issue with regard to the pressure on trying to build. And it's what's quite fascinating here is that on one hand, the Business Council actually has flagged that they need a $10 billion plan to ease the housing pain, which is basically build more high rise, which is sort of easy, but of course, well, they're talking their shop really, because unless you've got the ability to be able to get the construction teams in, then it's not going to work. And of course, in Queensland, they reported that was a record low for houses. Number of homes being built in Queensland hit a record low over a decade. 2 years on from a state government's housing summit that was supposed to fix the problem. So it shows you again, on one hand, Queenslanders need roofs over their heads, but the Property Council has revealed just 6,948 new homes were built in the March quarter of 2024. That's the lowest since 2013. So you can see here the complete contrast between all the spruiking and reality. The reality is you aren't going to see a lot of new building being done at the moment. You're not going to be able to meet those targets. And, just to sort of round that off, CoreLogic highlighted the fact that the construction costs continue to rise. In fact, the construction costs picked up pace in the September quarter. So if you think of that, one of the levers of house price and the movement of house price is the cost of new property. The fact that the construction costs are going up, the supply of labour is not there to build, the fact that you've still got to pay huge fees to be able to start the construction process. You you got to say there's still this intent probably to see prices rise for the construction of new property, which will flow over to the broader market. And if you do the math on a high-rise construction versus a low-rise construction and divide it by the number of units, you actually don't end up with saving very much at all, because you've got to actually use more materials to go up compared with, go sideways, as it were. So to my mind, this whole thing is completely flawed from top to bottom.
Yeah, and look, again, it's my sacred cow that I've been talking about for over 2 decades, and that is the small to medium density development, which got left behind 20 years ago. Why? Because the governments became stamp duty junkies because they wanted to rake in the overseas investments. And that's where and you can't what's the word? You can't rehabilitate that. You can't rehabilitate that junkie. You can't take that monkey off their back. They're set. They're hooked on it. That's what it is, and that's what it will continue to be, because it's a quick fix. Now they're trying to encourage more overseas investment. To buy off the plan, in order to cater for the low housing that we have, and they'll try and encourage that from overseas, and they'll throw all types of incentives to overseas buyers, and this is where and people say, but that nothing's going to happen for another 2 or 3 years, when it comes to settlement. What a lot of people don't know, Martin, or don't realise, or perhaps they're not educated in knowing because they're not in the industry, is that once you buy something off the plane, you've got to pay the stamp duty on or before 3 months of signing the contract. So the government collects the stamp duty 3 months. We have 3 months. Even if the building takes 3 years to get finished, then you get the keys after 2-3 years. You could be buying whilst the developers trying to obtain the construction certificate to commence works, and so you could be sitting there, and it could be a big development that could take even up to 3.5 to 4 years to build. So, but you have to pay that stamp duty on or before 3 months. This is in New South Wales, anyway.
Well, that's exactly right. And talking about stamp duty, I'm sure you saw this, that the Victorian government, so desperate to try and get more people to buy property, hang on, they're not building enough. Hang on, there's a huge supply. But look, they've basically said, well, we're going to slash stamp duty on townhouses, apartments, and units bought off the plan. Oh yeah, sure. And it's interesting, because of course there's a backlash over the high-rise building blitz, the zones we talked about just now. So this article basically said that the Victorians are going to save thousands on all townhouses, apartments, units off the plans. The state cannot steamroll us. We don't want 20-story units. Oh, you can see it absolutely there. But here's the little kicker. Did you see this? Stamp duty cuts in Victoria will also apply to foreign buyers. So foreign buyers will be included in the Victorian government plan to slash stamp duty on off-the-plan apartments, units and townhouses for 12 months to try to turbocharge home building in the state. I mean, this is you can't make this stuff up, Edwin. You really can't make this stuff up. They haven't got the capacity to build, and yet they're trying to get more to build. The truth is, there's plenty of property supply in Victoria at the moment. Just look at the listings.
100%. That's what I was going to get to, and that is the point that I wanted to bring about, and that is my offer to old mate Chris Means here in New South Wales. Like I said, I want to broker that deal. I will for a steak lunch with a shot of tequila and a cigar. Dusty and I will broker the deal for free to help the first home buyers and others, single parents that are looking for to move into, and first responders they're looking for the first home. I'll broker that deal because they're already available, Martin, as you said. They are already available. The other thing is, when we've been talking about the the supply of new property on the market for sale for many years. We monitor the Sydney region and the Melbourne region, but they've got something that that they should be targeting all those already built homes further out from the central hubs, because from what we've been noticing over the last 12 months, the apartment listings that are they've reduced, but freestanding home listings have absolutely skyrocketed in Melbourne. And we're on par here with homes and apartments in Sydney. So they should really focus on, as you said, more on what's already there within the supply chain, because one, you're going to get it a lot cheaper. Two, you can have it now. Put your money where your mouth is. And have those properties. You can have ready to move in right now. But they don't want to do that, Martin, because you and I know that whatever the governments do, they form committees, they form think tanks, think groups, whatever you want to call them, and those committees will absorb a lot of money, and then they will, and a lot of that money will go to the donors as well, which are both on the left and the right from the construction sector, and because they need to feather their nests. So and again, we go back to also how idiotic, throwing money, whether you take out the stamp duty component of it, it just increases the value of the property anyway. I mean, it's like they think that developers and builders are stupid, are ignorant. As I've said from the beginning of this year, a lot of the developers that we know of, the circles that I know of and that I talk to and I move in here in Sydney, they're not doing anything until the government gives them a greater incentive to build, because of the cost of construction, because of what it costs. But you know what, Martin? Again, I've been saying for over 1.5 decades, for over 15 years, I'm saying if you reduce the cost, the impost, the duties, the taxes on construction post the purchase of land, things will be a lot cheaper to build. And this is, and it'll fall in favour of the purchaser at the end, because the product can come out at a much cheaper price at the end. The end result will be a lot cheaper, and a lot more effort and a lot more energy can be put into the actual method of construction and the actual products that are used to build. But hey. We're only plebs on a YouTube podcast. We don't sit on Channel 9 News or Current Affairs or anything like that, right? What do we do?
Well, I think the clue here, that going back to that article, right? Stamp duty raises about $8 billion a year, and the state would not be able to deliver its services without a revenue base of that magnitude. So that's the first observation. So a lot of this stuff is to do with states trying to cover their budgets. And then interestingly, the Urban Development Institute of Australia chief executive, Linda Allison, welcomed the announcement, but urged the government to extend it beyond 1 year to give buyers time to save, search and sign up for their new home. Maybe they've got the idea that it takes a long, long time to build. Oh, and by the way, of course, as just to remind everybody that if you look at the story in Sydney, they're talking about, again, building up, reducing light, and, taking away the need to have parking and those sorts of things. So they're building poorer quality, smaller properties to try and solve the problem. And it comes right back to this fundamental point. State governments and federal governments are completely conflicted on this, because there are things that they could do if they really wanted to solve this property conundrum. But they don't want to, because they're looking at it through a particular myopic view, thinking about it in terms of their government finances and getting re-elected, rather than what's right for ordinary Australians. Until that changes, none of this is going to make much difference at all in my mind. It shows you that this is completely broken, and your term holistic is absolutely critical. And interestingly, there was this article that came up that young voters are rejecting the housing crisis tax fix. So young Australians are failing to be swayed by populist promises to rein in negative gearing tax concessions and fearing any changes could force up rents and cruel their aspirations to one day own their own home. So a lot of youngsters are actually seeing through a lot of this rubbish that's been going on at the moment. And I find that quite fascinating, that if you look at the age groups, quite a few young people, actually, according to my surveys, some of them have given up completely on ever aspiring to own a property. So they've almost said, well, it's never going to be for me. But others are believing that some of the stuff that's going on at the moment is not helping. It's not helping them at all. And I think that's the point. So people are beginning to see through what's going on. The emperor has no clothes. But unfortunately, those writing in the mainstream media, those on the property portals, et cetera, those aligned to the property sector are just spreading a completely different gospel.
Yeah, and what we should be concentrating on perhaps is we should be talking about the increase in governance in jobs across the board, in the public sector. We don't seem to talk enough about that. We're not building anything. We're not manufacturing anything. We're importing people to keep abreast of the economy, the inflation and everything. But we're simply not producing anything. Our other cornerstones of in terms of mining and tourism, that's also waning to an extent. But in all this, over the years, there are two industries that have grown in let's say New South Wales, and that is the public sector, and those in the political realms, and as well as in real estate. I mean, before the pandemic, before you and I used to talk about 2019. And I used to bring out some of the statistics with regards to how many, and I was only talking to George about this today, just rehashing on some of those points. In 2019, when we were talking about how there was, 43 or so thousand, 43 to 47,000 real estate agents, license holders and certificate holders in New South Wales. And lo and behold, now we've got close to 67, in the mid 60s. I mean, that's insane when you think about it. But they're the two industries that have grown in numbers, and yet everything else has diminished. Other industries don't even exist anymore. To an extent, and are being shot overseas as well to and to reduce. So there's a lot of pain at it, but we're as you said, the government's really not looking at solving the issues, and I don't think they're going to be doing that. Even up to the next election and beyond, because when you look at the opposition, they're just as we said earlier on. It's just the left and the right wing of the same vulture. So, I don't know, Martin. The thing is, people have just got to. I know it's easier to say, but you've got to hang in there, and you've got to dream. You really got to, in a way, force. If I could say it, put it this way, you got to force yourself to dream. Create those visions, create those pathways to get out of. Whatever rut, and as I've shared before over our shows and on X and on my profile on X, calling last year, the year before, so forth, the year of the hustle, and you got to hustle. You just can't sit still. You sit still, you stand still, you get run over. Simple as that. You just got to, there's a lot of, you got to move around. Things aren't getting easier, and there's no point just sitting there and complaining. You just got to get off, stand up and dust yourself off and keep on moving forward.
Good point, I think, Edwin. Yes, the fact is you can't expect the government to solve the problem in a way. So you've got to find alternative. And sometimes that means compromise, right? That means buying perhaps a property that is not ideal. It's not got everything you need or desire, but maybe it's good enough to get on the ladder. And that, I think, is part of the interesting conversation I've had with a few people through my one-on-ones over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Realization that, well, you may have to buy further out. You may have to buy a smaller place. You may have to buy something that needs a lot of work. But it still might be the right strategy, because the alternative is to do nothing, as you say, hope. But as we said at the top of the show, hope isn't a strategy. Now, let's just move the conversation forward, because you've been raising the question about which websites can you trust? Tell me about this, Edwin. This is really interesting.
Well, right, look, in line with what we're saying, what we're talking about tonight, right? We've really got to look at things, as you say. We've got to look at things really granular. Now, there are some websites, and there are some websites, right, that appear on different shows, and they profess quite a number of things. So, Crashman put up a post, and it was really intriguing, because I knew the house. I knew the house that he put it up, being in Kings Langley, looking for clients in that area. So I knew the house, and I know the agent and that, and look, he made a comment because a lot of people are relying, unfortunately, on websites that don't take up a subscription. I mean, we look at websites that we don't have to subscribe to, but we also, in our team, we also subscribe to websites, and our subscription across the different websites that we use in order to monitor what different areas are doing, the markets, your core logics, your price finders, your and other private websites that have been put together by insurance companies and the like. So we, in the subscriptions are very hefty on a monthly basis. Hence the reason why we can look at things a little bit more microscopically and look, delve deeper into what they are. So, but this property I knew. And Crashman put up a post, and according to the website that he used, it said that that property notes the property was sold for in 2023 for $1,111,000, and this website, and you can see that he's not subscribing to the. It says upgrade to premium for the exact estimate value, but based on what value he got from this website, he gave him a guesstimate value, or current guesstimate value, of $900,000 to $1 million. So, but as I said, I know the agent, I know the property, I know a fair bit about the owners of the property as well. The owner is an ex-English football player that lives there as well. So, people want to test me out. But I know for a fact that they're not going to accept anything less than $1,275,000. That would be the bottom line. In actual fact, they've already got people around the 1.3. So this is where you've got to be careful. Who you listen to, what you want, and what you're going to anchor your hope on, because it can be very, very dangerous. You can sink if you anchor it the wrong way, and you could. End up sitting on your hands, or not taking action one way or another, or taking action again could be some other post that somebody else puts up there of a great result. But that's the unfortunate thing, Martin, is that there's a lot of people that don't understand, or people that do understand about property, they get fooled by these websites that propose to know. And when you talk to the owners of the websites, they don't know jack about real estate. They've never been in the industry. They don't understand it. Telling you that all sorts of things. They profess also to know all sorts of things, but in reality, They don't know how it works. They don't know the current values, and they don't understand. So people are getting what we would say misinformation. So now, the other post there, the other image that I sent you there, right, is of 13 auctions or 13 properties that were meant to go under the hammer yesterday, right, in the Marrickville area. When you look at some of those results, they are absolutely, gobsmacking results. Even, for example, 39B, Holmesdale Street, Marrickville, the expectations on that property were, under the 2 million. But because it was well presented, there's a lot of things that went well and on the day throughout the campaign for that vendor. Apart from there was a bit of what I believe to be deceptive and misleading advertising. It sold for 2,320,000 on the night. So so now you think about it, it's a small sample, but it's an area of one of the many Sydney markets in the Sydney region. There's 13 properties, and out of the 13, Martin, 11 got sold. One actually, the contracts are being signed to tonight. So you could say one got sold the day after, and there's only one of those properties that hasn't been sold yet, but there are still 2 or 3 interested parties, for that property. So you look at it, but then there's the Tom Panos index that tells you that the Sydney property market is literally going to shit, right? But again, when you start talking blanket result, what markets, what areas, what type of property, how was the property? Well, was it well presented? What inherent issues did it have? What's the vendors? What is the vendor's motivation? Did it have? Is there anything wrong with the property or not? All these things need to be taken into consideration. So what we're going to see a lot more of over the next 4 to 6 weeks is we're going to see a lot more on both sides of the fence, on both sides of the coin. We're going to see a lot more people hanging their hope on properties that achieve extremely good prices, and others that are going to be hanging hope that the market's going to shit itself because there was a bad result because somebody bought a property 2 years ago and then they got they sold it for $100,000 than what they bought 2 years ago, blah blah blah, without understanding the full background of that listing of the property, and to an extent also without knowing the agent's the agent's demeanor or campaign or the way that they operate. I've got a saying. We've got a saying in our team. There are certain agents that we will recommend our clients to sell with, and there are certain agents that we definitely buy from. So.
Yes, you need to be very, very careful, I think, with regard to agents and how they use them. In fact, on your next slide here is quite an interesting little conversation here about what is going along with real estate agents, right? Dummy bidding, really?
Well, we had a meeting. We had a meeting with some prominent figures in the real estate arena that I've knocked around with for many years, and we just shooting the breeze. And there's some interesting points that came out of that conversation, which, I mean, it doesn't alarm me, but I just posted it up there because, and I tagged Chris on it. So one, it was interesting. These are the main points. One of them, that point of mine, they all acknowledge more and more selling agents they know personally are using professional dummy bidders. Remember when we used to talk about dummy bidders last year, around the same time last year? It seems to be the dummy bidders seem to come out in spring. It must be like cicadas, Martin. They hibernate for a while and then they come out in spring and they make a lot of noise. But this year, it's prolific. It is absolutely gobsmacking prolific, and that's why I call them professional dummy bidders, because I'm sure they get paid. I know for we were speaking, in general terms. Most of them that they were at the meeting knew the one in over in Chatswood, one operator in Chatswood that's got three of them, and you can, I'm not going to go into too much detail. And the other thing, point number two was, all point out that the underquoting, deceptive bait advertising is becoming more prolific throughout Sydney, which is what we predicted anyway. You and I spoke about for at the beginning of the year that was going to happen, and more so closer to when the market starts becoming harder for agents to sell. When so much harder, it's that they use the term harder, but it's really when you're coming into a normal market rather than a lot more emotion flying around like confetti at auctions, when agents actually have to do work in order to earn their crust. But it's happening, and it's evident all over Sydney, north, south, east, and west. It's not just confined to one area, and it's not confined to one agency. And it's interesting because the agents that I met with, they were from different different parts of Sydney, and also different from different agencies. And several real estate agents. That was rather interesting. There are several real estate agents that the group knew of that have got 20 to 30 complaints to their name with fair trading for various reasons, predominantly for bait advertising or underquoting complaints. And there's one agent that it's a watch this space moment, because there's an agent, a well-known agent in the West, that has something like 120 complaints against his name with fair trading. My question was, it's a wonder why he still holds a real estate license, number one, and number two, obviously, fair trading would have to prosecute, and they would have to find grounds to cancel his license. But number two is, why is he still holding? I asked the person that brought that up. I said, well, why are they still holding a franchise? Because he's from a major franchise group, and he said words to the effect, he may not be holding it for too much longer.
Very interesting. And bad behaviour, I think, probably comes out of the woodwork in the spring season, simply because there's more activity. And I also know that quite a few agents, we've got more agents now than we used to have, of course, and the average commissions aren't necessarily covering the costs. So there's an air of desperation that I'm seeing from a number of people. So it is an interesting time. And so unfortunately, some of the bad behaviours gets amplified at that stage. Another one, of course, is underquoting. And, the underquoting game is going absolutely full speed ahead at the moment, isn't it?
Well, it is, Martin, and that's a sad state effect, considering the all that the previous state government and the current state government are thrown into trying to dissuade or curb the bait advertising. I like to call it bait advertising. I think bait advertising suits it more than underquoting, because when underquoting doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't ring a bell anymore. A lot of people have become numb to it. But when you say bait advertising, I think that has a better ring. I might get Chris Minks to put that into the new legislation.
Trademark it, Edwin. Trademark it.
Exactly. So, but look, it goes back to a post in a property that I'll be keeping an eye on. The property there, people can go to my Twitter feed, and they can see my posts there, and they can follow that thread. And I'm really calling them out, because it wasn't just one property; it was two properties, and it seems to be the MO of these two particular agents from that agency, and I mean, they achieved great results on the day of the auction, because in my opinion, the properties are well and truly undervalued. So this is what I say, and I wrote an article, probably about 9 or 10 years ago. I put up on, when I used to be on LinkedIn and other publications I'd put out there, and that was the premise that when agents use deceptive and misleading conduct by advertising or underquoting, or I say when they use deceptive and misleading advertising, it's that's a premise. But what I say is that they say, oh, but we don't know the value of property. Well, you got to ask yourself, some fundamental questions there. The number one is, why, why give a listing to an agent that's grossly undervalued your property? So why give a listing to an agent that doesn't understand the true value of property? Because they plead ignorance, right? This is what they do. They plead ignorance. Oh, I didn't know what it was. So why would you give them the listing in the first place? So that's the first premise. The second one is straightforward. They're just blatantly underquoted or wanting to mislead the public at face value. So it can only be one of the two. You either used a very ignorant, very green agent to sell your home, which is dangerous, right? Or you've used an agent that's misled the public. It can't be anything else, Martin. There is no other excuse. So, which side of that coin do you want to fall on? Is what I say, and that was an argument in an article that I put out, asking the industry that which side would do you fall on? Either side's pretty damning, right? But that's it. It can only be one or the other. There is the occasional, unknown, because you can't put a value, and and there are some, but there's some intrinsic value to a property, or two developers go toe to toe for a block of land because, but even then, when you get into the nitty gritty of it, you find out that the one that you may think's overpaid for the land has got inside running with the council, and knows that that there are new instruments going to be put over the LGA, and to allow you to go higher and get a lot more volume. So all these things, it's really fascinating, but that's what it is. The unfortunate thing is, the losers are the buyers. The losers are those that are hoping that they're going to buy at a lower price. And again, we go back to that hope, because they're not educated. They didn't educate themselves. They're not ringing you up, Martin. They're not calling you and getting that inside information on that goes granular into the area. You should be having more clients to do that. So
go granular. Go granular, of course, is it, and be armed with information so that you can actually identify the underquoting or the false signaling in terms of price. As you say, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, isn't it? That's the way to think about it. Now, there's another interesting insight here, Edwin. Again, it's to do with real estate agents. Are they obliged to present any bid they receive to the vendor? Well,
okay. The black letter of the law says that if you get given a verbal offer as a real estate agent, if you receive a verbal offer or a written offer, any offer needs to be passed on to the vendor, right? However, if the vendor gives you written instructions not to pass on offers below a certain point, then you don't have to. But that is your out. So hence the reason why I made the offer on Albo's property for my client in writing. And I basically said to Shad, I said, cheers, Shad, because I had a conversation with him. And I said, cheers, Shad, and thanks for your time. As mentioned, with the amount of work required to the wet areas due to water issues and other noted issues when I inspected the property, my client is not prepared to go above $1,730,000. Now, when we were having that discussion with him, and I got the feeling, it's just a feeling. I got the feeling that he didn't have any offers on the table. So we went closer to the 1.7 than to the 1.8 that they're looking for, and to see if it would stick. Obviously, it didn't stick. It hasn't stuck yet. And then I said, I understand the vendor is looking for offers with a 1.8 in front of, but as they say, it's the current economic climate. In other words, it's the economy stupid that is affecting sales all around, and including that of my clients. 1.8 in front, but here we go. My client's home. Also, old mate panels. Now, I know that Tom Panels is good mates with Shad, so I figured that he'd pass on the message on to Tom as well. Just trolling them. Old mate Tom Panels post about Sydney market crashing. Has it helped buyers that were looking into my client's property and area last week? Their offers were withdrawn until further notice after seeing this video. And I posted that video that we shared on the Rant the previous Monday. Again, thanks for your time. Thanks for your time on the phone, and wish you and your vendor luck with the sale. Now, go back to the question that you asked, Martin. I'm hoping that there was no written commentary with regards to written instructions from Albo that no offer was to below a certain point was to be passed on. That's what I'm hoping, because that is the most polite way I could write. It's the economy stupid, and I was hoping that old mate Albo would get it. And that.
Well, that's right. Yes, it actually message received, Albo, ? Right? And in the context of his purchase of his $4 million place up the road, he probably needs every dollar he can get. So interesting times.
Yeah, no, well, that's another thing. I put up a post on Sunday. I call it Dusty's Sunday Stories, and I sort of put a hypothetical there of, you need to sell. you better make sure you sell the property before you go out and buy on emotion. That's another one I do want to share tonight. Long-winded, that one. I reference hypothetically buying a $4.3 million home by the coast. I think I tagged you on that, Martin. I think you reposted it as well.
Yeah, indeed. No, I thought it was quite amusing. That's right. But make sure you don't get in over your head. Make sure you understand what it is that you're actually going to be able to get for the property you've already got. If you're going to commit to buying a more expensive one, you could be caught in the jaws if you're not careful. So.
But this is what a lot of people do. Unfortunately, man, they get caught up in the emotion. They get caught up in the emotion of the selling agent saying to them, selling them the dream. Oh yeah, we're going to get you 2. We're going to probably go 2.1 because the Marrickville market is so hot. There are some. Marrickville has increased in value by 20% in the last 6 months. I mean, this is the spill that I was getting from the selling agent from the Chads of cider. I was getting when I went to inspect the property. Marrickvilles are great. Tell your client this, tell your client that, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. But that's it. And that's the same spill that they would have sold to and they sell to many vendors, and then they promise them the world anywhere in Sydney. They promise them the world, and then reality hits. It's the economy stupid, and then here you are. Now the question is how far will I mean, we know for a fact that is in this case this vendor has a bit of coin behind them. But at the end of the day, you're still losing, right? You're still losing, and then you get all emotional about. Then you do the unthinkable, and you get emotional and buy something on emotion again, because you're selling your property. You got sold emotion by the selling agent, and then you get sold by the selling agent on the property that you're buying. So you get hit up the backside from both ends. So it's a really hard. I've had friends and family do that, play that stupid game. Oh yeah, but my house will sell quickly. And I'll get a great price. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Confirm it's not a time, a day and time to do that, because things are. There's a lot of things influencing the markets, and they get emotional on both ends. Then they have to drop the price because then they're committed with the 10% deposits on the other end, and they can't get extensions on the settlement periods, and they end up paying more for the property they bought, and they end up getting less for the property that's sold. They get sold the dream on both ends, and this is where you got to be so careful. So, but going back to that, to your original question there, Martin, I'm hoping that in this case, the agent didn't receive those instructions, and now I got this got this message.
That's right, and indeed, and I hope that he might have included a link to our shows as well, so that Albo can hear it straight from the experts, right? And by the way, I'll make one other quick point here on the emotion. Spousal influence is another factor here, right? So quite a few times what I've discovered, again, in my one-to-ones, is that one party within the relationship really loves the property and applies emotional pressure within the relationship to try and go after it. And boy, does it get messy then.
Oh, look, I've seen it all, and you probably have as well. You probably hear about it. You probably know about it. I mean, we're old enough to just about seeing every other thing. And this is why I call that other group. I mean, I've got the WeChat chatter group. I've got the New Kids on the Block. Of course, is the one that I call the Desperate Housewives, which is the spousal influence. And there's a lot of, there are a lot of people there because they've been waiting for so long, and for one reason or another, they haven't got into the market. They'll go out and buy, or prematurely, or I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why people buy and want to buy, but then when you allow the emotion on anything to rule your decision, well, it can be the beginning of the end.
Yeah, absolutely, seen it quite a few times, and can explode into something really quite nasty. Now, before we get into the latest moves, we might just touch on the WeChat chat report, because, they're a bit twigged on this idea of the cost of renovations.
Well, look, everything else across the WeChat chatter group, because obviously what's happening abroad, what's happening with the elections and everything else, they're just sort of quiet. But one of the things that they have been talking about of late is the cost of construction and not having trades and labourers, which is driving the cost of renovations and also the cost of new construction. So that's what they've been talking about. This week's the Urban Developer put out that post of the Sydney housing conundrum: luxury in the West, luxury in a city or bust. So basically, the report that says that that they say it's going to cost $500,000 per box to build. We know that it's from our insiders, it's closer to the $550, $580 to build. So it's nothing that you and I haven't been discussing for the last 12 months, and we've seen that rise of the cost of construction. But this is where then obviously how it does affect our followers and our viewers is that they know that the construction is going to be restrained for quite a number of years, and although they've sort of taking it easy at the moment, just watching to see what's happening in the Sydney region, they're still active, but they're not as active as they were throughout winter. They're just poised and seeing how many more listings come on market so that they can buy on, as well, because of people's fear and economic position that they put them face with, and they start letting go of desirable properties that they search in areas where they know that they're going to convert into the many ways that we know that they do to obtain better better incomes, or reconfigure in order to make it a multi-generational home for themselves. So but look, with all that in mind, it's basically for the WeChat chatterers. They don't see things have slowed down, yes, but they don't see a retreat in what some of the commentators are talking. And it's going to, and don't forget, as we get into closer to the end of the year, we're going to have a general retreating numbers. But it's going to, because spring came in late, we're going to have a late retreating numbers. Talking to agents, there are more agents that I know of that are going to be working right through till the end of the year this year, because of the late spring listings than last year. There's going to be a bit more activity, but what dampens the activity towards the end of the year is the conveyancers and solicitors that go on holiday, so you don't get a lot of transactions going through to settlement. So in general terms, towards the end of the year you get an attrition in numbers, and some offices in the eastern suburbs are already not taking listings to put up on the portals this year. They're postponing those till the middle of January. So it's going to be interesting moving forward to see it. So this is what the chatterers are looking at the numbers, and they're still confident in terms of values, as one of the other reports that you put out earlier on. Freestanding house values continue to rise, not as what they were earlier in the year, but they're certainly not expecting a fall.
Very interesting. Well, let's quickly now just move into the final part of the show, where we always look at the listings, and we use the domain data sets to just provide some consistency. So if you look at the Sydney listings for sale on the 14th of October, 21,043. Jump forward the week to the 21st, 21,737. So continues to climb, and it's a bit Elon Musk-like now. Look at the difference between this year and last year with regard to the trajectory. Number of listings rising, although I don't think that tells the full story either when you look at the quality of what's on the market.
100%, Martin. 100%. You notice that there aren't as many transactions as what there were, and a lot of these listings are carrying over for the following week. So properties are staying on market a lot longer than what they were before, and because obviously they don't achieve the desired outcomes that the agents are telling their vendors. Don't forget, in most cases, not in all, in most cases, the agents are inflating the values of the properties that they're taking to market in order to get the listings. So they're buying the listings, and when it comes to the realisation, when it comes to D-Day, they don't achieve the prices. So then they go into a private treaty campaign, because the vendors, it takes time then to re-educate the vendor, to re-educate them back to reality. So this is where there's that those murky waters of, are prices really falling, or is it that the expectations are the ones that have been pulled back because of what the agents told them that they could get? Who's to blame? Do we blame the vendors for having higher expectations, or the agents? You know who I blame straight off the bat, because they're the ones that are meant to be the professionals.
Spot on. Well, let's look at the Melbourne story. So on the 14th, 30,024 properties listed in the Melbourne region on Domain. 30,457 on the 21st of October. And once again, it's houses that are actually dominating there. So the story continues with a rather wobbly market with regards to the story in Melbourne. In terms of Brisbane, well, on the 14th, 4,077 compared with 4,185 the following week. So a small uptick again, although the volumes are still quite a lot lower than Melbourne is well ahead of Sydney. And just on the auction front, auctions continue, and next week the numbers will be up a bit. But I do think there is still some stuff going on here where people are actually settling before auction, or indeed pulling property off the market prior to auction. So it's clearance rates are still relatively low at the moment.
Yeah, that's when you look at the auction campaigns. As I said, not a lot. People are waiting. Without, again, in talking in my conversations with my clients, my personal clients, and other people that I've discussed things with over the last week, it's really a moment of people are sitting on their hands. It's not that they don't have the means to buy. In a lot of cases, it's many are just sitting on their hands, just waiting, waiting to see what's going to happen with the geopolitical issues, and also who takes in the way. With many that I've spoken with, they're waiting to see which way the economy could potentially be rolling next year in terms of the global markets. How that's going to influence us as well. But look, what I can say is, Martin, is across the board, whether it's the Democrats or whether it's the Republicans that take their home over in the US, because that's going to play a big role as to what happens globally, moving forward. I think Australia is going to be Australian property holders are going to be the better off, if I could use that term, because either way, I see more money coming in from an economic, a better economic future. This is just my thoughts. That economic future, if the Republicans get into power, and because things, issues around the world will get quelled, will get quenched, and potentially we'll go back into some sort of global normality. And if the Democrats get into power, obviously, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, there'll be a greater escalation of wars and rumors of wars around the world, which will mean that we'll then more expats and more people will look at Australia, because we're so far away from the rest of the world as a safe haven. So whichever one wins, and I think people are waiting for that, in the back of just in the background, because they want to see what sort of economic certainty Australia's going to have moving forward. That's my view. So in the meantime, the homes that I have been seeing myself personally, and others of our group are seeing being sold and achieve high prices, are the ones that are presented well, well marketed, no bullshit about it. People are expected to meet a certain price. It's marketed well. The selling agents are very informative, very much on their toes, and the property is being presented well on all fronts. People are throwing a lot of money at these homes because they basically want a turnkey. They just want to settle and move in, and not think about doing anything in the future.
Good point. Well, in fact, next Monday, we're going to have another rant, but on Tuesday, you're going to join me on the live show, and we're going to discuss specifically whether you need to use agents. In other words, is it now feasible to list your property, present your property, and sell your property without an agent? And what does that mean for the market? So that'll be a really interesting live discussion on our Tuesday show, and we'll have the Monday rant, as normal, back to Mondays, because doing a Monday rant on a Wednesday just feels weird. Let me just finish off with the rentals in Sydney. So on the 14th, 11,820. Jump forward to the next one, 11,878. And in terms of Melbourne on the 14th, 11,181 compared with 11,308. So small movements, nothing hugely dramatic there, but we are still seeing rentals rising, although the rate of increase in some areas does seem to have eased back just slightly. We'll see how that plays out, I guess. And just as we come to the end of the show, Edwin, your tip of the week, put it in writing.
Yeah, that's it. Put it in writing. Going back to your question earlier on about do all offers get presented to the vendors? Are agents compelled to put all offers to the vendors, whether it be verbal or in writing? Look, it's if you want a better chance of the message getting across, put it in writing. Writing can be by text, email preferably, and in writing, literally on a piece of paper, print it out as opposed to a scribbly handwriting. Because I'll tell you why it works. Why it works, and it's a good tip. It's good thing to know for those that are watching the show and looking at buying property, especially in times like this. Not only does the message get across to the vendor, but then the agent uses that. So what you are doing is you are empowering the selling agent to with better tools and better ammunition to go and fire it at his client, his or her client. Right, so you're turning the tables on them in a way. So you need to empower the agent to have something, and when it's in writing, it's very powerful, and it's a tool that the agent will use, regardless of the fact that their client, the agent's client, is not you. The agent's client is the vendor. But they forget about that because the client may be the vendor, but the loyalty is to the back pocket, the wallet in the back pocket. That's where the loyalty lies. And this is you putting it in writing is empowering the selling agent to work for you. And by giving it in writing, it also puts them in good stead with you because you're giving the tools and you're helping the process because they're not thinking about their client, and you just sort of made potentially made it easier. But at the same time, you also got to think about the fact that you got to be ready to move. And obviously, each I can only give you a theoretical background or a theory or examples, but each property has its own things, and each situation. I can't show you how to do it because we've done it so many times. We just understand and the full dynamics. But that's the fundamental principles as to why you put it in writing when you are buying property.
Yeah, and I'd just add to that, when you put it in writing, it's also worth underscoring, particularly if you're a cash purchaser or that you can move quickly. So in other words, not only do you actually put the number on the table, but you also contextualize it so that they actually understand that it's a real true offer from a vendor who is from a purchaser who is willing and able to transact. Because there is still a lot of shenanigans where, in fact, people sort of float in offers when they're not totally serious. So, anything that you can do to underscore that you are a prospective, serious purchaser, armed and ready to pull the trigger, is also quite compelling when it comes to actually putting that number on the table.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's, and I said, you just got to fill it out. You fill the agent out. It all comes back to, as I've shared before, comes back to the agent's motivations as well.
Yeah.
There are agents that you can buy well from, and there are agents that you use to get to sell with. Simple as that.
Spot on. Well, Edwin, thank you very much for coming on Wednesday rather than Monday this week. Really appreciate it. Great show as normal. We'll be back to normal next Monday. And just for those watching, mark your diaries for Tuesday, when we're going to ask whether we can actually dispense with real estate agents altogether. Should be fun, Edwin. We'll see you then.
Looking forward to it, man. All the best. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.